Audio Jungle.
So Meltdown number 1 is a last minute addition. This was not on my original show card, but everybody's talking about it. Everybody's kind of throwing in their 2 cents. And I saw some of these just wild tweets about this. So I thought, let me pull one out of the wild. Let me pull one out that came across my feed, and let's talk about this situation. If you don't want to talk about this here's Meltdown number 1 from the IWC, and it says, Jon Moxley is the GOAT, okay? The spot on Dynamite will have everybody talking and will have all eyes on AEW. Who cares about John Cena when Mox is literally putting his blood, sweat, and tears into pro wrestling? If you hate this, you hate real wrestling. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat this shit. This may be the point in time where I piss off any of my listeners who are fringe listeners who have an affinity for AEW. But here is my honest to God reaction to what happened on Dynamite this week. And that is, if you are the kind of person who enjoys seeing a man having nails impaled into his back, we can't be friends. You're a weird fuck. That's not wrestling. That's a kink. That's a mutilation fetish, which is cool. Just admit you have that fetish and we can move on. Just admit you like weird shit and we don't have to be friends anymore. I'm not going to argue the safety issue of this spot because that's the conversation that the IWC wants to focus on. They want to point us in that direction because they want to bait us into a conversation where they go, it wasn't as bad as it looked. Sure, whatever. Not going to have that conversation. They want the casual audience to overreact and go, he could have died. He could have been paralyzed. I'm not a fucking doctor, so I don't know the risk. I do know there were nails stuck in this dude's back, right? I don't know where these nails came from. I don't know how dirty they are. I don't know what disease-infested closet they got them from. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to analyze the safety part of this. I'm going to analyze the optical part of this. And what I know is this is desperation. This is wrestling OnlyFans. For all of you guys who sit out there and talk shit about OnlyFans, this is wrestling OnlyFans. This is the mark of an untalented wrestling company wanting attention. This is the equivalent of somebody slitting their wrist for attention. That's what this is, a look at me moment in professional wrestling that did not require talent. This right here, this is a moment in time. Mark this on calendars. This will be the clear division of AEW and WWE fans that has been a long time in the making. If you want to define the lines between a casual wrestling fan and a member, a card-carrying member of the IWC, look at this moment in time when a desperate company and a desperate man needed to appease a desperate IWC fan base. Which side of the line did you stand on? Did you stand on the side of the line that goes, I don't need to watch that? Or do you stand on the side of the line that defends this just idiocracy? Because look, from an optics standpoint, this was a horrible business decision. This will end up costing AEW more fans than it will gain them. This will only strengthen the conversation that AEW fans are weirdos. This will only strengthen that weirdo fan base that AEW has, and it will cause them to double down on their tribalism. It will cause them to alienate anybody who maybe didn't like the spot but still an AEW fan. This is going to be a dividing line, and this is horrible if you are AEW and you are in the business of trying to grow a wrestling company. Because I've seen a couple IWC members say that their argument is, well, we don't care because AEW isn't trying to grow their fan base. We're happy with the fan base that we have. I mean, holy shit. Thank God I would never hire you to run one of my companies. Like, you have to understand, nobody at WB has this attitude. They're not in the business of sustaining a small fan base. If you guys really think that Tony Khan isn't trying to grow his wrestling business, I don't know what to tell you at this point. You have to stop defending ignorance like there's a game plan. Tony Khan's flying in the dark. There is no structure. He has no plan. He's not trying to maintain a fan base. He just doesn't know what he's doing. And there's nobody in that company. There's nobody in AEW who has the balls to look a Jon Moxley in the eyes and tell him, no, you can't do that. Not on TV. You don't get to do that. The inmates don't run the asylum around here, but the problem is the inmates run the asylum in AEW. And the IWC keeps throwing the arguments they're making. They have these recycled just talking points they keep going to, and that is, well, Mick Foley, well, Terry Funk. These guys, they did the same thing. They're using these as distractions to try to get us off of the real conversation, which is, do you really want to make a history argument? There have been plenty of things that when we look back upon them in history, we go, oops, that was a bad fucking idea, right? I think most people would look back at Mick Foley and go, it wasn't worth what his body's gone through today. What for Terry Funk, it's not worth the pain he has to live in today for that slight bit of entertainment we might have got. But more importantly, let's talk about trying to compare Jon Moxley to a Mick Foley. Mick Foley, Terry Funk, those were sideshow characters, right? They were role players in the overall scheme for the WWE. They were never the lifeblood of the company that Jon Moxley is supposed to be. He's the avatar for AEW. He is the world champion. He is front facing, the face you see when you go on the website, you go, who's the champion? And you're telling me this is good for business? How? You're going to have a certain amount of people who tune out after this. So you literally killed off whatever little bit of casual fan base you had hanging around. Like, how is that good for business? And now what you're left with, AEW, and this, you made this, you lie in this bed now, you're left with an absolute cesspool of the darkest, smelliest corner of the IWC, and you have to reap what you sow, and you guys all get to go in there and fucking argue with each other. Have fun, guys, because nothing will ever be good enough. That's what you guys don't know for the IWC. Nothing will ever be good enough. All this did was just set the new bar for how stupid you have to be to get over with the IWC. And so now we get to play the game to see who steps up next, who raises the bar to the next disgusting height. I'll see your syringe in the mouth with nails impaled in my back. The IWC will never be satisfied. They have this hunger for what's next. This will be forgotten by next week, and Moxley will have to raise that bar to get the attention that he's looking for once again. The difference, though, the difference for me, I'm glad this happened. I think this defining moment, this line in the sand, I'm glad this happened because this lets me know I could be done with AEW. No more peeking behind the curtain to see what's going on. I don't need to check on MJF. If Britt Baker wants to stay part of that shit show, she can stay part of that shit show. But AEW's not, it's not wrestling for the average wrestling fan. It is a 100% niche product. Tony Khan needs to shut the fuck up and stop talking like you're Pepsi. Bitch, you're not Pepsi. You are some weird fucking lemon soda that nobody knows about that tastes like shit but goes good with alcohol. You're a shit show circus full of carnies. Like, that is what AEW is. You are the Temu ECW. And I'm glad now that we can identify all of these weird fucks who like this kind of shit. Like we can see you guys. I'm glad I can identify all the weird dudes that have a mutilation fetish. If you're into that shit, more power to you, but we can't be friends. We're not gonna be friends. You guys could watch your weird indie show that has just an incompetent, spoiled brat of an owner who has a vagina where his balls are supposed to be. He can't say no to anybody. And I'll go watch my sports entertainment, as you guys like to call it, because I'm not a weird fuck, okay? I do find this sad. I find it sad because this is how Edge goes out. He literally goes out in this kind of indie, just desperation situation. It's sad to see the IWC can't wrap their brains around a failing company, a company that's on life support, a company that's screaming, just look at me, please. I'll do anything. Just look at me. Like, it is sad to see this level of desperation that because WWE has really kind of turned on the main event scene, they've turned the ovens up to 10, that AEW has panicked and they're now like the middle child throwing a tantrum and just screaming, look at me, mommy, look at me. I can bleed. I can put nails in my back. Like this whole model you guys try to sell us. This is where the best wrestle. Gotcha. Keep repeating that shit to yourself. Look in the mirror and keep repeating that mantra till it makes you feel good. Because it's not. It's not where the best wrestle. It's only a matter of time, mark my words, before someone goes too far in AEW, and then there's no turning back, right? You don't get to predict how those nails react. Sure, it was a 4th inch this time. Next time it's an inch. The time after that's 2. The next time it hits a nerve. The next time it hits the spine. You don't get to decide what those nails do when you land on them, right? You can't predict what happens when you jump off a ladder onto a pane of glass. You could get lucky, but you can't predict what's going to happen. And you can't predict what happens when you coffin drop off the top rope onto the edge of steel stairs, right? Wrestling has risk. Don't get me wrong. I 100% understand that that's always been an appeal of professional wrestling, but it's supposed to be a calculated risk. And AEW's calculator is stuck in remedial mode. It's not working correctly. Your math ain't mathing, guys. There is a reason that ECW couldn't make it as a company, and it will be the same reason that AEW fails. It is this bunker down, appease the weird kids mentality, hipster, we're so cool, we like edgy things, but that doesn't have the staying ability that you want to believe it does, because there's a small sub corner of the internet that likes this shit and is really loud about it does not mean that it's popular enough to sustain a company. And the IWC will continue to move that bar, and they will just hit you with, oh, that was cool, Mox, but what's next, right? The problem is WWE uses storytelling, and it uses theatric, and it uses smoke and mirrors, and things may look risky, but mostly they're calculated risk, right? And so they feed that hunger predominantly with a casual audience by giving them safe but fun storytelling moments. And the IWC's problem is they need that, like, it's like a drug addict, right? They just need more and more and more and more to get them to that next spot. And Mox, unfortunately, is a guy who is going to keep trying to do this weird shit to appease this savage, gross audience. Look back. It's no wonder why Brock Lesnar didn't want to listen to Mox when it came to the way they worked WrestleMania. Like, can you imagine that conversation? Mox walks up to Brock Lesnar and he's like, hey, here's what I want you to do. I want you to jam these fucking nails in my back. And Brock Lesnar was probably like, no, I'm weird. No, I'm good, you weird fuck. I'm good. And that's funny because Brock Lesnar sounds like he could be a pretty weird dude himself with some of the shit we've heard. So to out-weird the weird dude That's wild to me. I'm not gonna harp on this much more. After I've said my piece, that it kind of is what it is. But now I'm glad the line in the sand has been drawn. We can identify the sick fucks. Y'all all go on your side of the room and just leave us alone. Let us have our sports entertainment, and you can have this weird mutilation kink and fetish that you have. But just know, as far as I'm concerned, everything else that you guys in the IWC say about WWE is immediately invalidated by this moment.